doing the music and the talk, so we'll just kind of roll it all up into one, is our favorite comic guru, Richard No Wrong Notes Inman.
Thank you. Thanks. Thanks, honey bunny. I'll call you in just a second. I'm going to introduce it all. Yeah, I'm going to set this song up. The name of our talk is The Most Important Decision. And yesterday, Sheila and I went to see a movie, the Slow Film Festival, called Porcelain War, which is the story of these artists who live in the Ukraine. And they make art, and then when they're attacked, they take rifles and they go and protect themselves. And I was like, and we both left in tears. It was so, yeah, you know, I came up with the name of this talk before I went and saw that movie. And not that it really changed my ground of being about that most important decision, which, by the way, Einstein said the most important decision someone can make is this universe friendly or hostile? And obviously I'm going with the friendly idea, although after watching that movie yesterday, I was like, well, it kind of looks pretty hostile. And here's a quote I want to read before Sheila and I are going to sing a beautiful song for you, but it's from Swami Rama Tirtha, which I've never heard of before, but I love what he says about this. He said, "The world and your surroundings are exactly what you think them to be. Just as you think, you become. Call yourself a sinner, and you must become a sinner. Call yourself a fool, and you must become a fool. Call yourself weak, and there is no power in this world that can make you strong. Feel omnipotent, and you are. Change the feeling in an individual, and his whole method of thinking will be revolutionized. An eagle cannot outsoar the atmosphere in which he floats. So thought cannot transcend the fear of limitation. Thought and language are the same. You cannot think without language, and the infant child knows no language and has no thought." I know that's confusing, but we'll try to clarify that as the talk goes on. So this is the Prayer Sunday, and as has been said many times in our church, St. Augustine said, when you sing, you pray twice. And I'd like to bring Sheila up, and we prepared a song for you. I've sung this in church before. We try to sing it once a year. And there are some Italian words in this song, and some of us are going on vacations to Europe very soon.
Not us. Not us.
And and if you don't get to go to Europe, I want you to imagine that this is just your little taste of going to an exotic land and having this beautiful spiritual experience.
And some of the Italian words transfer over to the light that you give. In my heart, it will remain to remind us that you are the eternal star. In my prayers, how much faith there is. We dream of a world with no more violence, a world of justice and hope. Everyone lends a hand to their neighbor, a symbol of peace and fraternity. The strength you give us and the desire that everyone will find love around and inside themselves, and the faith that you have ignited within us, I feel that it will save us all. I pray you'll be our eyes and watch us where we go, help us to be wise in times when we don't know. Let this be our prayer when we lose our way. Lead us to a place, guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be saved.
La luce che tu hai
I pray we'll find your light
nel cuore resterà.
and hold it in our hearts.
Ricordi dati
When
c'è
stars go out each night,
interna stella sei nella mia pigiera.
let this be our prayer.
Quanto fede c'è
When shadows fill our day,
lead us to a place, guide us with your grace, give us faith so we'll be saved. Sogna un mondo senza più violenza, un mondo di gioia e di speranza, ognuno mano suo vicino, simbolo di pace, di fraternità, la forza che si
we ask
dà.
that life be high,
Il desarrollice
watch us from above.
ogni trovi
We hope each soul
amor
will find
interno e dentro sé.
another soul to love.
Let this be our prayer,
Let this be our prayer,
just like every child.
just like every child.
Lead us to a place, guide us with your grace, give us faith so we'll be safe. Lead us to a place, guide us with your grace, give us faith so we'll be saved. Wow. Yeah, that movie shook me up yesterday. You know, that just the quandary, you know, it's hard to, I'm spent most of my life singing songs about let the love be love, let there be peace on earth, and when you see people being attacked and living a very difficult life, it's so hard not to want to take up a rifle and shoot somebody. You want to stop them from war. And something Brian has often said is we don't heal hate with hate, we heal hate with love. And that's a challenge. And I went to bed last night so grateful that I had a nice warm place, that I wasn't being attacked by someone, and I had food and warmth and a beautiful church and beautiful people to come be with. And that's not a given, you know. It's important to wake up every day and be grateful that we have the life we live here. And I've read this before, but I found it again this morning. I thought I need to say this again because it's so potent, a potent idea written by Marianne Williamson. I am unshaken by the drama of the world. Cleaving to God's Spirit, I am unmoved by the drama of the world. If I encounter worldly chaos, my internal stillness will work to dissolve it. I need not fear any turmoil in the world as long as there is peace in me. God's eternal peace is the ground on which I stand. As I navigate the shifting sands of time, the world is always changing, but the spirit within me is changeless. I am loved, I am safe, I am blessed, and I am protected as I look upon others and wish them those things. I will experience them within myself. God, make my mind know your peace. May I never waver. May my heart know your love and never deviate. No matter what occurs, I am unshaken by the drama of the world. Not an easy thing to do, easy to say.
Especially now.
Yeah, that movie. I brought a video that my talk changes as the week goes on. As I change, I want to share something that's true for me. But I have a video that we set up that it illuminated something in me, and if we could just play that, I just want to share that with the folks at home and share it with you. That's Deepak Chopra. You can't see them all, but I wanted to make sure you could.
Before, there was a Nobel Prize awarded to 3 scientists who had raised kittens in 2 different rooms. So in one room, the kittens were exposed only to horizontal stripes. In the other room, the kittens were only exposed to vertical stripes. And then when these kittens grew up to be cats, one group of cats could only see a horizontal world. The other group of cats could only see a vertical world. And when their brains were examined, they only had the connections to see either horizontal worlds or vertical worlds. So what's the world before you've been conditioned to see it? Because you see, when you come into this world, you have no idea that this is called a table, or this is called a hand, or there's a body.
Or if you're white or black or speak whatever language you're supposed to speak.
The way you're conditioned in your childhood determines how you see the world. In 1964.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, back in 1974, I was in my college choir, and we were one of the top choirs in the United States. My choir director studied with all the great choir directors, and also we had a great jazz band, and we were chosen by a group called Ambassadors for Friendship to tour in Romania at that time, and Romania was under Russian rule at that time. It was under communist rule, and there were very few people allowed to come into Romania or leave Romania, in fact. I was later to find out once I visited there that only 10% of the population was actually allowed to leave the country. You had to be a member of the Communist Party, which was the upper 10% of the country, and then you had to apply to leave the country, and it took 2 years. And at that time, they would only allow you a certain amount of money, which was the equivalent of $200 for a 2-week vacation. So it was really a police state. It was a prison state. The entire country was under this very heavy-handed fascist control. And I was the president of the choir, which was I was very proud of myself. And we would have these dinners and we were these amazing guests that came from a foreign land. When When we got off the plane in Romania, our choir director was very pro-American. We lined up in this very echoey airport and we sang the Star Spangled Banner. And before we knew it, there were 100 people standing and they're all weeping. They were so moved by the fact that there are people who live we take it for granted. If I want to go on vacation, Sheila and I just got to make sure we got our passport and a few bucks and we can go. I don't have to be up in the upper 10 percentile of our country and then you can only take $200. They wanted to make sure people came back. In fact, our tour guides for that particular tour were Russian agents. Russian secret agents. And they told us that immediately. They were supposed to be secret agents. They didn't care. There was such horrible apathy going on. And they wanted to marry someone in our choir so they could get out of the country. And they were putting the moves on us. And in fact, one of the girls in our choir fell in love with she was an oboist, and she fell in love with a Romanian English horn player. It took her 7 years to get him out of the country so they could be married. And they did finally, and they're still married to this day. Anyway, I just wanted to share that whole idea of not being caught up in the drama of the world is, it's easy to say. It's hard to do sometimes. So that kind of messed up my whole talk telling that story. I don't know where I'm at, but I'll come back around. So I want to revisit something I said earlier in my talk. Those cats could only see either horizontal or vertical. That's all they could see. And those first 3 years in your life were imprinted on you so heavily. I've had the privilege of spending time with Sheila's granddaughter, who's going to be 3 in a couple months. Astounding. I've never been around watching kids grow. I mean, every time I see her, she's a different human being. She's absorbed, and when you're with her, she's absorbing, figuring it out. What's real, what's not real, what does that word mean? What are these relationships? She's making up her reality. When she was here, she was like, it's fantastic. Life is fantastic. Now she's starting to make decisions, and pretty much everything she says is no. Say, you want to go for a walk? No. You want me to put you on your shoulders and I will walk? No, I don't want that. She's in a no state. And I heard a great thought about that. It says there are 2 types of people in the world. There's people who say no, and their reward is having a safe life. And there are people who say yes, and their reward is having an adventurous life. And I was kind of examining my life as to and there have been different phases of my life when I've been stay safe. And then I'm Mr. Adventure. I am doing adventurous things. Do anybody on Facebook and they get the feed that shows last year you did this. A couple of days ago, I found this whole slew of pictures of my life, and I realized I'm an adventurous person. Next week we're going to visit Sheila's family and friends down in San Diego, and then she's talked me into going out into the middle of the desert to look at stars for 2 days. I'm like, okay. Stars only take about 10 minutes. What are we going to do after that? I don't know. It's an adventure. Being with her is an adventure, and she's actually more adventurous than I am. And I'll tell you, one of the great adventures, and I want to acknowledge all of you who've had children, that is adventurous. That is a level of cast your fate to the wind that I do not understand. Because I know people who've had children, and their kids are like, they're like finally get to be 15, and they're going, Holy cow. Where did these people come from? There's always that risk that you don't know what you're going to get. And there's a good chance that they may not like you. You know, I went through a phase where I didn't want to talk to my mom for 2 years, and she was a very loving, gentle person. But I was just going through a thing. Didn't want to, you're wrong. You're a bad person. You know, I want, you know. Anyway, I just want to read just a little bit. This is the beginning of that thing I started with, which is, just as you think you become, call yourself a sinner and you must become a sinner. Call yourself a fool and you must become a fool. Call yourself weak and there is no power in the world that can make you strong. And one of the ways that I've learned to overcome some of my maladaptive learning when I was the first 3 years is affirmative prayer. And I wrote a song, I don't know, 5 years ago. It was a comfort song for me. My mom, I had come back. Brian knows this story, but I wasn't ending a 25-year marriage. My wife decided to end it, and so I was in grief. You know, there was a tone of grief about me, and so I came to the church and said, "Well, why don't you do some music, Rich? And might pull you out of it." You know, I'm okay, I don't know. And I wrote this song, and it helped me bring myself out of that state of despair. And this song is called Infinite Love, and there's a part that just says infinite love over and over again, but it talks about the one thing that we all have in common is we get to be alive now on our planet, and it's still absolutely gorgeous all the time. You know, when we say everything is working together for good, all we have to do is go out in nature and it becomes very obvious that this is a golden, beautiful experience here on this earth. And so if you get a chance to catch on to this song, please sing along. I am the rushing water of infinite love, infinite love, infinite love. I am the rushing water of infinite love, infinite, infinite love. Now just close your eyes for a moment and be grateful that every breath you take is a holy breath. And let that breath go. Say your love letter to your nervous system and let go. Breathe, because infinite love is who you are. It just flows. It just is. It just heals. It fills every crack with golden light, and it says, "Here I am." I am the radiant fire of infinite love, infinite love, infinite love. I am the radiant fire of infinite love, infinite, infinite love. Let go of everything other than love. They say that love brings up everything unlike itself to be healed. Let love heal that now. Let it melt the armor. Let it soften the judgment. Let it lift the guilt, the fear, and the doubt. I am the breath that fills me with infinite love, infinite love, infinite love. I am the breath that fills me with infinite love, infinite love, infinite love. I am the earth that grounds me in infinite love, infinite love, infinite love. I am the earth that grounds me in infinite love, infinite, infinite love, infinite, infinite